Hi, Amy.
Hi.
How are you?
Nice to see you again.
It's good to see you again. Just briefly, I wanted to go over confidentiality. What is said here stays here, but I also do want to point out that there are limitations to confidentiality. I don't foresee that in this session, but it's more related to, like, if somebody states that they're, say, suicidal, you know, I would have to break confidentiality for something like that.
Okay.
Is that, like, can you understand that?
I understand that.
Okay, good. So, kind of like going over what our last session was about, we were talking about CBT.
Yes.
And what CBT a lot works with is cognitive errors, which are like faulty thinking.
Okay.
And they can also impact your emotions, meaning they can make you feel more depressed, more anxious, more stressed. So it's kind of important to identify them. So there's a list of very common cognitive distortions. And number one is all or nothing thinking. Basically black and white, good or bad, an inability to see grays. An example I gave is, if I don't get a perfect score on a quiz, I'm a failure.
Right.
Which I could challenge that and say, is there any room for gray with that thought? Probably so. Number two, overgeneralization. Sees a bad event as a reoccurring pattern. So an example would be, I had a panic attack once when I was doing a presentation in front of a class. Therefore, I'll never be able to do public speaking. Number three, mental filter, only seeing the negative and excluding the positives. An example is, although I passed this assignment, I only got lucky. You know, you could challenge that. Could it be that I'm capable? Number four, disqualifying the positives. Even when something good happens or someone says something nice, you disqualify it, don't believe it. For an example, someone gives you a compliment and says, you look really nice today. And you think in your head, oh, I'm fat. Or they think I look fat. They're just saying that. They don't mean it. And I know I'm going over this, but I'll ask you, you know, if you have any questions as we go along.
Okay.
The next one is jumping to conclusions. And one of them is mind reading. We think we know what someone is thinking. These two are often distortions and inaccurate. And an example I gave, this actually happened at the gym. I went on a bike and someone was already on the bike next to me. And 30 seconds later, they got up and left. And I thought in my head, geez, they must think I'm weird. They don't like me. You know, could I challenge that?
Right.
Yeah, potentially they were just done. Probably had nothing to do with me. I hope not. Okay. Fortune telling is related to mind reading. You anticipate what is going to happen and that it will be a bad result. An example is, I'll go to a job interview, but they won't hire me. It'll go bad. I'll say something wrong. 6 is magnification. You're catastrophizing something. You're exaggerating it. You're blowing things out of proportion. An example I gave was, there's so many things wrong with my car, it'll never pass inspection. Minimizing. You may also downplay events. An example, I ate a healthy salad, but then I added too much salad dressing and I sabotaged it, you know? Can I just enjoy the salad? Does it have to be, like, you know, a bad thought there? 7, emotional reasoning. I feel it, therefore I am, or it's true. So an example is, I'm worthless because I feel worthless. You might want to think about, where does that stem from? Like, why do I think that?
Right.
Number 8 is should statements. Telling yourself, I should have done that. I shouldn't have done that. Or I should have said that, or I shouldn't have said that. An example, I shouldn't be depressed or I should be perfect. So I would challenge that and say it's okay to get down sometimes, but not stay down.
Right, right.
And as far as perfect, no one's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
9, labeling, mislabeling. It's more severe than overgeneralization. It's based on one experience and you label others.
Mm-hmm.
An example, I have a perceived slight. You know, I'm driving and someone cuts me off and I think they're nothing but a jerk. That person's nothing but a jerk, you know. 10, personalization, blaming yourself when something doesn't go right or someone seems upset.
Mm.
So you almost take it in and feel like you're to blame for it. And an example I gave is my son got upset and threw a toy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bad mom.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter, she's avoiding me lately. I'm a bad mom. So, do you have any questions with any of these?
Can you just explain perhaps the jump into conclusions, the mind reading and fortune telling? Clarify that.
Like the differences?
Mm-hmm.
So, mind reading would be more like you feel like you know what somebody's thinking. You're misinterpreting what they're thinking.
Uh-huh.
Whereas fortune telling is more about an event. You're feeling like, oh, this is going to just go so terribly wrong.
Okay.
So the one being more people and the other being event related. Okay. And what we want to do is cognitive restructuring. So we want to learn to identify and dispute these maladaptive thoughts. Because one of the first steps is awareness and identifying these. Do you feel like you can identify with any of these?
Most definitely.
So, well, I do have some homework for you. It's not hard, but I would like you to record one cognitive error that you have this week.
Okay.
And then I want you to go over, you know, a positive, first label the cognitive distortion, say what the experience was. Then I want you to put a positive spin on it, an adaptive, and then thirdly, realistic.
Okay.
And then we can review it on our next session.
Okay.
Because we got to put this into practice so that, you know, it gets easier with time to identify them and work through them.
Okay.
So how does that sound?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.